Welcome back, Sister Symphonie.
Thank you for having me back. I'm so excited.
I know you have a story to tell us. The last time you were here was about a year ago.
Yes.
So a lot has happened in the last year.
Yes, it's a full year of adventure, so I cannot wait to share with you all.
Now, you have just recently said your final vows.
Yes, in January 1st was my Perpetual Vows of profession. So
That's what they call it. Officially, it's called the professional. Excuse me.
Perpetual Professional Vows.
That's a tongue twister.
Yes.
Perpetual profession of vows.
Yes.
Perpetual profession. See, I'm trying to do it faster. I can't do it. Perpetual profession of vows.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fantastic. So, how many vows do you take before you do the perpetual?
So every
profession?
year we have to renew our vows, my
Okay.
vows. So the vows always 3 vows: chastity, poverty, and obedience. But before January the 1st, it's always valid for a year.
Okay.
So after a year, you renew it again for another year. But last one, on January 1st, that was my final one, the last one that I need to make the vows. And it's valid for life.
Wow. So that's it.
That's it.
So you could have turned back before if you decided not to continue.
That's correct. If you decide not to continue the religious life, after a year, when the vows are not valid anymore, you can leave the congregation and move on to in your life. But after this perpetual vows, that you belong completely to the congregation.
Wow.
Yes.
It was exciting.
It was beautiful. Yes.
We saw it on the live stream, and if you could look back at it as well
Yes.
on the live stream, and it's on the YouTube channel.
It is in the CCVI Houston YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and see what happening and never attending the final vows celebration and mass, you can search on
I
YouTube.
was very interested because I've never seen one. And so, of course, because of COVID and restrictions, there was a limited number of people there, huh?
There's only families and very close friend was invited, but a lot of people were not able to come because of the COVID situation.
Travel restrictions and all of that.
That's right,
Okay.
and the cancellation and everything.
Oh,
so.
yes, that's right. Yeah, lots of flight cancellations
Right.
recently. So who was able to come for you, your relatives?
So I have one aunt from Georgia, from my mom's family,
Okay.
and another aunt and a cousin from my dad's family from New York City, and
Your 2 sisters.
my 2 sisters and their husbands, and my little nephew. And
Let me see. Melody and Harmony, right?
you have a good memory.
Well, it's easy to remember. They're awesome names.
Yes, thank you. And one of my coworker and couple of friends. Yes.
That's
And
awesome.
also, yes, I cannot forget this family. This is my godmother's family.
Oh, yes, yes.
And she was able to attend, and her daughter and her husband. So
That's fantastic. And the whole thing was live streamed, and I didn't even realize that Father Dat was going to be there.
oh yes, he's a homilist. He was a homilist of the mass, and yes, I couldn't be happier for him to be there, because he knows both Sister Kim's son, the one who made the final vows with me,
Yes.
and myself. So he was able to connect everything together and talk to Sister Kim's family and talk to my families and the congregation. So it was perfect for him to be there.
So you took your final vows, and there were annual vows before that. So how many annual vows do you take? Is there a set number?
After your first vows, you can renew your vows from 5 to 9 times. And before that, you will get to evaluate yourself.
Okay.
And then you will turn that into your formator and your leadership. They will review. And also, you write a letter to ask for permission to renew the vows.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then the leadership will approve whether or not that you're ready or you're not fit anymore for the religious life.
Oh, so there's a time when there are instances when the leadership will say, no, this isn't right for you.
That's right.
Okay, so there is still that way. You can, does it happen often?
Yes, it's often either you didn't want to request for renewal of vows, or the leadership can say, oh, I think you've like be more growth, or maybe it's better for you to be outside and discern again. Maybe it's a religious life. It's not the best for you.
Okay.
So they can tell you that, and then you can move on with your
Or
life.
maybe they say, maybe you need more experience outside and
That's
come
correct.
back. Sometimes, yeah.
There's a lot of reasons.
Okay.
And
It's a
it's
case
good.
to case.
Yes,
Yeah. That's kind of like like in The Sound of Music, when she met somebody she could do, right? Something like that, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been connecting it with what little knowledge I know about sisters.
All vocations are good. So just to know which ones is the best for you and God's plans for you. So that's the thing.
So going back to your final vows, you got choked up during one point, and I got choked up too watching you. Could you tell us how you were feeling that day?
So until today, the mass and the profession was like just yesterday for me. And the grace and the beauty of everything just overwhelmed me. And at that particular moment, so I was so overwhelmed with joy and happiness and grace during that time. But whenever that I have to talk about how grateful I am, or talk about families, that would got me crying. And at that particular moment, I talked was my heart thanking the family of Sister Kim Swan and my family in Vietnamese. And at that part, when I just started, I am so thankful for your support, talking to my family. And even though you were not here, but I know that you are with me always. And I wish I could say that way at that point, but just like half of the sentence, I was choked up.
You got choked up.
And I was about to cry a lot.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, I'm tearing up right now just thinking about it, because what I was watching, I was like, oh no, she's choking up. It's like, oh my God. My wife and I were watching the live stream, and yeah, fantastic.
Thank
so
you.
Is that the most memorable part of the day for you? What is the most?
No, everything was so memorable. That part is just only one small part of it. But the part is that I signed the paper for I made my promise, like perpetual promise.
It's official.
Yes, I turned all my life to God and the congregation. And the moment I said my vows to the congregational leader, the superior, and the moment that the superior put the rings on my hand, and the moment that I knelt down and listened to the litany of the saints, and the moment of the bishop pray over us. So every little single moment was beautiful and special for me.
What did your family say? Your family in Vietnam who was watching it. Were you able to talk to them afterwards?
I called my parents right before the mass. And I had a good cry before that already. They were gathering in my grandma's house with uncles and aunts, and was waiting for the mass to begin. And it was almost 11:30 p.m. there.
Oh wow! And how long was the whole thing?
The whole mass is close to 2 hours.
Oh, so they went well past midnight.
But they didn't seem to be tired or care at all. They wanted to participate virtually for me and support me totally. And my dad, last time, I didn't know if I shared that the second time that I saw him cry was the day that I left the country.
Okay.
But this time, he was so freely to tell me on the phone, FaceTime. He said, "Oh, we prayed before this gathering. So we pray God and say a lot of a rosary and prayers. And I can pray it fine. But when I prayed for you, I couldn't say anything and I started crying."
Oh.
And he shared that with everyone in the table and with me right there. And I felt so special because he was able to express his emotions and feelings now. And I appreciate that a lot.
Especially with people from the older generation.
That's
they don't like to show, men don't like to show that they cry.
No, and he never mentioned about that in words even.
Wow.
And this made me so emotional at that time.
Oh my gosh. You're getting to me right now.
I'm so sorry.
As a father of a daughter, you're getting to me. Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
What did your mom say?
My mom usually, during that kind of moment, she couldn't say too much because she's very emotional.
Of course.
But I believe both of them very happy for me, and they couldn't help not to be there, but they support me totally. Yes.
Okay, so last time we spoke about your ex-boyfriend. Did he contact you? Did he say congratulations or anything of the sort?
No. We didn't know all about this.
Oh, he didn't hear through any common friends or anything?
Maybe the social media, but I heard nothing about it. So maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he's keeping his distance now. Now that you had your...
Yes.
And, he's married now too, right? Yes.
He has 2 children. And I think we kind of know minimal of our life at this moment. So that's good. We move on with each other's life. Yes.
And I was just joking too.
No. I understand.
I joked with Father David Michael about his ex-girlfriend too. Because it's a very interesting aspect, you know. It's one of those things.
Yes.
Now, we did say that you have had quite an adventure over the last year. Not just your final vows, your perpetual profession, right? Of vows. Okay. Not just that, but also you've been around the world.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You did say you were going to take some trips. So where did you go?
So right after our interview last year in January, so I traveled to Colorado Springs from February to May.
Okay.
And then after that,
What were you doing there?
Oh, okay. So I had a program called Sabbatical Renewal Program.
Okay.
So over there, we can learn a lot about myself.
Okay.
So development about mental health, spiritual health, and physical health. So that we make a goal to ourselves, how many things that we need to accomplish. And learn about Myers-Briggs, like psychology and Enneagram, the type of the personality.
Okay.
And spirituality. Also, the program have the kind of midlife crisis part of it. But I said, I'm not there yet, but I can put it in my knowledge. So whenever I go through it, I have something to learn from.
It's interesting. So you did a lot of self-reflection. Is that required before you take your final vows?
So the whole year, last year, kind of the preparation.
Okay.
For final vows, perpetual vows, should I say. Because last year, the year before, that my last month for my ministry, last year for my ministry. So the sister told me, okay, so the next year, you will prepare for your perpetual vows. So I anticipated what I should do. So the first thing to go to Colorado Springs for that program for 3 months.
But did they require it, or is that just you yourself?
That's a requirement.
It's a requirement.
It's just good for the person.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can be so busy with life, busy with ministry and community and everything, studies, and then you don't have much time to reflect. Even though you can do it in prayers, but for the professional world, you can reflect more and learn more how you think, how you feel, and how you deal with different kinds of things and deal with other people as well. So that's a program is good for, I can say, professional personal developments.
How long were you there again?
3 months.
3 months. Wow, that's a lot of reflection.
Yes.
And then after that, where did you go?
I went to Kenya for 7 weeks.
7 weeks?
Yes.
What'd you do there?
I went there to first for experience of the country where our sisters are. So we have the mission there. But I was so fortunate to be able to teach at the one of the school that we minister to.
Okay. You taught music?
I taught music. And also PE.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not so good at PE, but I incorporate PE and music into one.
Okay.
So most of our time we was out in the field, up in the field. So we play musical game and singing and running and do all kinds of activities with music. So I can do both at one time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then I had a lot of fun. The school have around 600 students.
Oh, that's a pretty big school.
It's beautiful, yes, and they in all uniform. And the things I loved the most was the morning assembly. That we used to see all the uniform kids, and from little 1 to 8th grade. They from first to 8.
First to 8th grade.
Right.
Okay.
So and then they gathered together and they sang. They say the prayer. They sang the national anthem and then all the teacher talked to them and correct them if needed, and show them what to do better. And the student led the prayers and led the singing.
Oh, so they lead the prayers too.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I had a very good experience there. One thing that impressed me the most, that there was no microphone.
Oh, wow.
At all.
Everybody could hear. Because they were all quiet.
You could hear so clearly.
So they were so behaved and so quiet that even without a microphone, and how many hundred people did you
600
students. And everybody could hear.
Yes, they stood still and they paid fully attention to the teacher. And even though 6 years old, the first graders, they did the same. The first day of school, the assembly is like close to half an hour. I was a little wiggly because it was long. But the students, they stood there and listened and still very attentive to the speaker. I was
for the
so
entire
impressed.
time, half an hour. Wow.
Yes.
You can't do that here in the United States.
I said that, in the States, we have to have a microphone and we have to shout in the microphone.
And you still have to remind the kids to pay attention.
Yes.
How many of you were there? Were you with other sisters?
No, that's our sister from Kenya. They are there.
Okay.
But myself from the state is only me.
Okay. That must have been very interesting. Huh?
It's beautiful. I had so many experiences there. So I went up to the bus, with the school bus with them. And there's some transportation called Robert that I have not been able to be in there yet because of the COVID.
Okay.
They squeeze in everyone in that van, the small van.
Okay.
So one small van, they can take up to 20 kids.
Okay.
So there's no seats in there. Everyone, I don't know how.
They all stand up in the van? They squeeze in like
They
sardines?
squeeze in, they sat down. And then kind of squeeze in everyone's in
boy.
there. And the moment the van opened, you will keep seeing people coming out.
Oh, it's like clowns coming out of a clown car. Just so many people.
I said, oh my God. You can see that they're comfortable with it. But in the States, we say, oh, oh, is it safe for everyone to be in
Yes.
there? And
I was thinking about that. Seat belts and all of
that's
that. Right?
correct. So I cannot say anything because that's how they do it over
Yes.
there. And we just need to accept it. For me, through my eyes, I need to accept it.
You were worried for their safety, but then since it was okay with them, you just kind of had to let go of that.
You have to let go, and it's just pray that everyone's be safe and things like that.
What is the most memorable experience that you had there?
For me, I taught the music, and the sixth grader, teenager. But teenagers there, they very behave as well. Sorry to say that much more. And I taught them music, and I taught them the song Prince of Peace.
Okay.
You are holy.
Yes,
holy.
yes.
And they were so excited. We had no speakers or anything, so just no keyboard. So I sang, and then they repeated.
Okay. And they did both parts.
They did both parts.
Wow.
At first, I did it my part, and then they repeated. But later on, they did it themselves. And then one day, one of the sisters took me to another construction site to see the new high school, the same for our congregation. And then we took a little longer than expected, so I came back late. And when I went there, close to the door, and I heard the singing, because I said, oh my goodness, I didn't go there, and they didn't know what to do and things like that. And I heard singing, all kinds of instruments, clapping and strumming there. And I just recording when I walking toward the door. When I opened it, they were singing, and they used their pencils, rulers, and
just as
pencil
instruments.
case, and all kinds of things that they can bang on the table. And they sang the song truthfully without worrying that I wasn't there. And I was so impressed.
Wow.
With their musicalities.
Okay, so they just used whatever they could find to make percussion instruments, and even without you helping them, they already were able to catch on.
Then they enjoyed it so much.
Wow.
They didn't talk or among themselves or make silly things, but they decided to sing the song and to wait for me. So I was so impressed. And everything there was so beautiful for me. The one more thing was the last day when I was there with them. And the fifth graders, they following me like from place to place. Over there, the structure kind of blue, so
okay, it's like open air, and yes, okay.
So wherever I walked, they will walk with me, and they will say, "Oh, how thankful they were," and they wish I'm coming back to them, and they gave me letters and notes and all kinds of different little gifts, handmade gifts and bracelets. And I was so thankful, even though it's only 6 weeks teaching. But one of the notes really affirm or confirm for me what I was doing was I did make a difference, even with the little things. But the letters told me that I was so down and depressed at one time, but the song you taught me helped me to be brightened up. And I sang the song every day, and I felt so much more happier than before. So I read that one and I cried.
The little kid wrote you that letter, and I cried too. Oh my gosh.
It's so beautiful. Even that much of the little difference that will make me continue with what I'm doing and confirm that, okay, so I'm doing a good job.
So why only several weeks? You couldn't stay longer? Or it's a real set amount of time?
Because of the amount of time is only 1 year.
Okay.
So I have other things to do. I was asked to stay in Kenya about 3 months, but it didn't happen because I started late.
Okay.
And I had to go back for my 30-day retreat in California.
Okay, so it just didn't fall. That's why.
That's right.
You were only there for several weeks. Were you like a celebrity there? Because the kids following you around, and because you're a novelty. You're probably the only Vietnamese person in hundreds of miles.
So they call me Mungzungu.
What does that mean?
So that's the kind of the white people.
Okay.
White skin.
Okay.
With them, my skin is already white.
Okay.
So Mungzungu is only for Western.
Okay.
But they call me already that. And the students, even the little one or the big one, they would hold my hand.
Oh, because they've never seen skin so white.
They have seen, but not too many times or not up close.
Up close, yeah.
And when they saw my veins, the hands, they were so surprised.
They're like, you can see that?
And the redness. So if I sat on the floor, then my feet or my anything have some redness on it, they can see the redness. So
yes.
Your skin changed color. And at that time, I had my long hair. And so they just like, can I touch your hair?
Oh, yes, because you can put your fingers through your hair.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, one of my best friends was black, and he would like, put your hands through your hair. I was like, show me that. That's so cool. I was like, I think your hair is cool, right? It's just funny what you don't have.
That's true.
You find so fascinating.
Yes. So they just keep touching my hair, and they said, gentle, nice, because everyone wants the piece of your hair and try to touch it and try to hold your hair and things like that.
Do you have to tell them, get in line if you want to touch my hair?
But
Take a number.
I wouldn't mind if there's no pandemic.
Oh,
even.
yeah.
Because of the pandemic, it's much harder, yes.
Yeah, especially in a country with probably they don't have the best healthcare facilities too, so you want to really be careful.
And have to take care of them too.
Yeah.
And the school, they all mask up, so that's good in one way. But the touching part, we tried not to do that much.
Oh, I'm sure there's a urge there from a lot of the kids. So after Kenya, where did you go?
So I went to California.
Okay.
Los
Yes, that's
Altos.
right. The retreat.
For my 30 days retreat.
Okay.
So that's the most grace-filled time for me, for my spiritual life since I started religious life. So that's kind of summarized everything that I have been through. I had time to process all of the good times, bad times, and graces. And on that time, the particular 30 days, you only pay attention between myself and God, nothing else, and completely silent.
Just concentrate on yourself and God.
And the life of Jesus.
Very intense.
Really intense. You would say, 30-day retreat, what do you do there? But you said, oh my God, I was emotional exhausted.
Really? Oh, well, I can imagine.
Exhausted, yes.
There are some weekend retreats that you come out of exhausted emotionally. You were there for 30 days.
Yes, it was. And I lost a lot of sleep too, because you pray a lot during the day, 4 to 5 times a day. About 45, you have an hour, maximum 1 hour, recommended. And then there's a lot of thoughts, prayers that didn't finish during that day. So at nighttime, unconsciously, you just keep going, keep thinking. And it's just like...
It's running through your head while you're trying to fall asleep.
I never had that difficulty falling asleep before. But 30 days retreat, I didn't sleep well for those days. Yeah.
That's a lot of self-reflection you've done over the past year. That
it was.
You know, the time in Colorado, and then I'm sure, and then in California, and then even in between when you were in Kenya. You know, you're thinking about all these experiences, processing everything.
That's right.
Wow, very intense. So you were there in California for 30 days. Then where did you go?
So I went to Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Yes, for how many weeks? Almost 4 weeks. So I had a lot of new experience in the Hispanic culture. And I had 0 to none. I mean, a little poquito Spanish.
Spanish. Okay. In Kenya, did you have to learn the language or everybody spoke English?
So everyone spoke English.
Okay.
But for the little kids, some of them speak their own language.
Okay.
Or Kiswahili is a national language for Kenyan.
But then in Guatemala...
In Guatemala, it was all Spanish.
All Spanish. And did you know any Spanish before going there?
So honestly, I could understand some.
Okay.
And kind of heard here the words here and there and matched them together and tried to understand the context. But I couldn't say much. Like, couldn't speak.
Okay, so your understanding was a little more than your verbalizing.
Yeah, so Google was my friend over
Google
there.
Translate. So were you teaching there? Or
No, I didn't teach because the time limit and also the language.
Okay.
So that I didn't teach.
What did you do there?
So I went from different communities where our sisters are.
Okay.
So we have 4 communities in different area of the country. So one of the sister was my companion. She took me from the Guatemala City to Ngo, which was our first place in 1963 that was served there. We were serving there. We have the R.E.A.L facility there. We serving and ministering for abandoned elderly people. Those
without families whose children have either passed or...
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, wow.
And we went to Bachali where we have a retreat house. So beautiful. I have seen the picture of our facilities there in the country, but only when I went there and saw it with my eyes, I was so surprised how beautiful and how well it was constructed and how well the sisters taken care of it.
What is the name of the place?
Pachali. So that's the name of the city.
Okay.
In the congregation, we have the retreat place. I hope I can say it correctly. Verbo encarnado. So the incarnate word in Spanish. So that's a retreat house there.
There are pictures online and you saw them. And you're comparing it to
the congregation. We have some pictures, but it's never the whole thing. We have 50 rooms there, and each rooms have all the self-contained room.
Okay.
And I was so impressed. The chapel is so beautiful as well, and they have the wood walkway, the rail. You can walk around for reflection and things like that.
Very nice.
It's beautiful.
So were you sent there, or is that something you went on your own? You decided to?
The Guatemala?
Yes.
I was sent there.
Okay.
But I was asked to go as well. Because before your international year, the sisters ask, where would you like to go? It doesn't mean that you will get it.
Okay.
But they will ask you, where would you like to go? So Guatemala is my first choice.
Okay.
And then Kenya, and then Ireland. But I got to go to Kenya first, and then I went to Guatemala. And
Ireland?
Ireland, maybe in the future.
Okay.
I didn't get to go this time. It's hard to get the visa.
Oh, okay.
There.
So how does this work financially? Who covers the costs of your travel?
This because I'm going because of the congregation sent me. So they will cover all the costs. I'm
so the
very
congregation
blessed.
covers the costs of that. And and a lot of that I'm sure comes from donations and all of that.
Yes.
That's fantastic. What do you remember the most about your time in Guatemala?
The devotions of the people to the faith. And
the sisters or the lay people?
So both.
Or both?
Both. For me, both. I have to go back to the Kenya and Guatemala, for the sister first, okay? So I believe they have done their best in each country to carry on the charism of our congregation. Even though I couldn't speak Spanish that much, but I can feel the faithfulness of our sisters there. And they really try their best to improve and to help and to serve best to the people. And with all, whenever I visited the facilities, I would say, oh, how much sweat and tears and hardship they have to go through.
Oh, to build it.
To keep the ministry, to maintain the ministry.
Yeah.
Because when they first came, there was nothing. And now everything's so beautiful in front of my eyes. I couldn't be more thankful. And then the people, they have such a devotion for the faith. I went to Esquipulas. So where's the Cristo Negro was? So that's it's Black Christ, what we call here. It's a shrine. So thousands of people from different countries and within the country go there to visit the shrine. And just to make a long line and then just have a glimpse of it and then went back out again. But they was willing to wait for hours or half a day or even a day.
Just to get close. What is this called?
Cristo Negro.
Okay.
Black Christ.
So they're all just patiently waiting in line for hours just to come up.
That's right.
Wow.
And then we attended Mass there. And everything was so graceful that I can feel. Like I said, I didn't understand much, but all the feelings speaks the truth.
You can feel it in the air.
Yes,
and
everything.
Yeah, you can tell by people's faces, the whole mood.
With the Black Christ, I have a little funny story about it, just for me. So I went to Kenya first. Before that, one of the sisters gave our family, my sisters have it now, the Black Christ cross.
Okay.
So I love the Black Christ, and I would love one for myself. I said, okay, so I went to Kenya. I wanted to look for the Black Christ.
Okay.
And I asked this sister, other sister, whenever what church we went, we would ask the bookstore if they have the Black Christ, and they were so patient. The sister took me here and there to look for the Black Christ.
Oh, so you had to go to several places.
And then we couldn't find any.
Okay.
And then when I went to that shrine in Esquipulas, and I realized the Black Christ that I was given, that my family was given, was not from Kenya or even Africa. It's from Guatemala. It's just like the stereotype that you say, oh, Black Christ should come
from a black country, but it's not. It's actually we have that in the Philippines as well.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, it's beautiful. So I said, oh, I have to do more research before I do that to people.
So you went all around Kenya looking for it, and you couldn't find it, and it turns out it's in Guatemala.
Everywhere we went for church.
Oh, you could easily find one that you could get. Oh, that's funny.
That's true.
So, and then how long did you say you were there in Guatemala?
Almost 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
It's a very short time.
And then what months were this?
September.
Okay.
To close to the end of October.
And is that when you came back to Houston?
Yes. Is that right?
So you've done so much over the past year.
I not remember.
So we went to Colorado, you went to Kenya, you went to California, and then you're bouncing between 3 continents. And then South America and Guatemala, and then finally back to Houston?
To Houston, yes. No, I was wrong. The Guatemala is during October and November.
Okay.
So that's the
And then you
timeline.
came back right in time to make preparations for your perpetual profession of vows. I hope I
got
got
it.
that right
You
this time.
got
Did
it.
I get it? Okay.
Yes.
It's a tongue twister. I'm telling you, tonight I'm going to be walking around my house and I'll be perpetual profession of vows. I'll be doing that.
For the next sister.
Next, yes, our next guest, or at least maybe even before I MC an event, I'll do that to just exercise my mouth. Perpetual profession of vows.
That's right. Yes.
So when you came back, did you get nervous leading up to the event?
So during my time in Guatemala, I was preparing for even the Perpetual Vows. They're online, like contacting people and communicating
of course, yeah.
through
Making
email.
arrangements, yes.
I was a little stressed out at that time because you're far away. And then when I even have to change my flight back a week earlier, part of it because of the pandemic situation. I said, what if I went there and I stuck in Guatemala and not be able to come back in time? Or what if the U.S. require for quarantine?
Quarantine, yes.
And then I would
like
not
some
make
countries.
for my final vows.
So you had to time it properly, just in case you had to do like a 14, 15
That's
day
right.
quarantine.
That's right.
Wow.
So I moved back about a week earlier than I was planning. And when I went back, so I was so nervous and kind of excited and nervous at the same time. So I went to about a couple of sisters, asked them, is it okay if I feel in the same, like this? I really, really excited about my perpetual vows. But for some reason, I kind of afraid of it. Not afraid, but nervous about it.
You're getting butterflies. That's what it is. Yes.
And the moment that I was kind of anxious the most, when I was praying and thinking or imagining of the moment that the ring was put on my finger. It's got me chilled because it's like, really, it's going to happen very soon. So
there is a ring.
It is a ring.
So that's the ring you're wearing right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So that's a symbol for the promise.
Okay. Is there an inscription on the ring?
No, it should be like a wedding
band type.
Yes,
Okay. Wow. And who chose the ring? Does it come from?
So before I went to
congregation?
Guatemala, the sister in charge of the rings and emblems called me into her office, and she put 2 boxes of rings, which belong to all the sisters who passed.
Oh, so that's not a new ring. That belonged to another sister. Wow.
So this ring is thankfully it fit my hands. And it's the engraved inside is Sister Chusita. September 8, 1935.
Wow.
So at first I didn't know who was Sister Chusita because I never met her before.
Yes.
And I think a couple of weeks ago when we prayed in the morning prayer. And we prayed for the death of the sister Chusita in 2007. I said, that's it. That's the sister that I have her ring. So I believe she praying for me.
So you can eventually pass that ring on to another sister.
So basically, with the vow poverty, nothing belong to you.
Yes.
And only one thing that will go with you, with me when I die, that the vows formula that I signed up in the altar.
Okay, yes.
So I signed and date, and when I die, so it will be rolled up, put between my hands, and that's the only thing that I carry with me. Everything, I
so
leave
no
it back.
jewelry, nothing like that. Wow.
Yes.
And that ring, do you ever think about who might end up with the ring after you?
No, you can like write it up. So if any sisters who make vows after me, and I said, oh, okay. So if it fits you, do you want to continue to wear this one? So this up to the sister, but usually we will put it back to the box.
Wow. That is cool how it has history.
Yes.
So now after you made your perpetual profession of vows, see, it's coming out faster now. I just wanted to brag about that. After that, what's your plan now? What's in store for you for the future?
So I will have my new ministry,
Okay, which is?
which is a pastoral minister for special youth services of this diocese, archdiocese.
Pastoral minister for
For special youth services.
special use services.
Sorry?
And these are these underprivileged children?
So this ministry will do the preparation for sacramental,
Okay.
preparation and celebration for the youth at risk
At risk
and
kids.
or the juveniles
Oh,
youth.
Okay, the ones in like juvenile
The
detention.
probation detention, yes.
Oh wow, wow, that's something else. Who just were you scared when you were told that you were going to do that? Work with the juvenile detention kids because you're not a big person, you're a little person.
So actually, I requested to
Oh,
do
wow.
it. Yes.
That's awesome.
The reason is when last year, when I did my finished my theology degree, so I did my thesis about the paper about Gen Z, the Generation Z.
Okay.
So, in the last chapter of my my paper, I did the pastoral care. So I said that I don't know what came to me at that time that I pay a lot of attention to the young people. I thought at that time because I taught young people, so I saw they're struggling with life. So I would love to get closer to them. So when I did my pastoral care, right in that chapter, I had 4 letters. So R.E.A.L. R.E.A.L.
Okay.
But that's an acronym. It's not the word real. The acronym for my thinking that's what would work best for the young people.
Okay.
So R for me is reaching out.
Okay.
We're reaching out to them and kind of teenager, of course, they want to be on their own.
Of course.
But I don't want me to giving up on them. I need to reaching out to them. The first one.
So R reaching out. Okay.
E is educating.
Okay.
Even though they think they know everything.
They know everything. Oh, teenagers.
Yes, but they do need a teacher figure, someone to instruct them.
Okay.
Because even though they will act like they won't listen to you, but they do bring that to thinking and try to understand.
So even if they pretend like they're not listening, they're
That's
still
right.
absorbing something somehow.
That's right.
Okay.
Hopefully, we have to pray more about that. Because a lot of things we don't agree anyway. But I think the responsibility is to have to teaching them and keep your ground with that.
Okay.
So educating. But educating comes with A, is accompanying. Because the lonely generation, with all the technology,
yes.
everything, they really need someone to be there for them and accompany them. Their characteristic is to let them do on their own, but they know behind their back there's someone trusted enough to care for them and to help them anytime they would like to turn back or ask for advice or anything, and keep checking on them and here and there.
Walk with them. Yes. Okay, so A is accompanying and then
L is listening.
yes, of course.
We hearing, but we're not listening. We hear everything, but we don't take time to listen. So to me is listen with the body language, listen between the lines, listen everything attentively. So because they would not tell you everything and they would not be able because they try to find themselves and try to express. So to me is listening, like building trust, and then wait for them and listen to them and it's a long process.
Yes.
But I think that's the very idealistic thinking about
Oh no,
from me.
you got me. I mean, I've got a teenager, and I'm absorbing all of this right now. I'm like listening. Ooh, I got to work on that.
Yes,
My
because
teenager.
we really fast in churching.
Yes.
Of course, we hear something. We said, "Why did you do that? What's wrong with you?" But we didn't pay enough time to understand or to even ask. So what can I help? Or can you tell me more? And then I will try to help you get through this. And maybe not talking too much. Just sometimes it's just listen. It's enough. Yeah.
So R.E.A.L. R is for
Reaching out,
E is for
educating, accompanying,
and then listening.
Listening.
And that came to you while you were working on your thesis.
And then I didn't know how God's plans implanted into my mind during that time. And after my retreat, I know that my international years is up, almost finished. So I said, okay, so I need to think of what I should propose or request for my new ministry after the year's finished. And I went to the Archdiocese website to search for different positions.
Okay.
And my thinking is still teaching, but maybe not too much about teaching music. I would do it if it's the only option. It's not like I'm more or not didn't like it anymore, but I feel like I was called to do something else.
Okay.
So I said, if I can teach religion, the main part for me is when I teach religion, of course, there are structures, there are materials we need to cover. But main thing is I would love to extend God's love and mercy to children, especially to the young people, the youth and the high school.
And who knows, maybe you can use your music somehow in your teaching like you did in Kenya when you used your music with PE.
That's right. I believe with my music background, I can incorporate it to anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's a gift. So I treasure it now much more than before. Whatever I do, I can still have music into it and make it, I think, beautiful, I believe. So I search more for religion teaching position.
And that's what you found.
I found 2. But I'm still struggling. I'm still thinking.
Oh.
That's the religion for the school, Catholic school.
Okay.
And then I found another ministry that prepared the sacraments for special needs kids.
Okay.
So I said...
Yes, we do need that.
Yes. So I said, I would love to do it. I would love to try. So I read and the requirements and everything. But one thing I didn't have was the background for special needs education. So I said, maybe it's not the right time for me to do it yet.
Okay.
Because what if I had it? Maybe not. But I would give that opportunity for the person who have more experience.
Someone else who's better equipped to do that.
That's
okay.
Right. Because I could have gone back to school to take the classes, but it would take a long time to do it. So I left it one side and I said I will come back to it. And then one day when I read the description for special youth services for the pastoral minister, I said, that's it.
That's the one. You knew that was the one for you.
And there was no doubt. I said, even the qualification that I had almost there. There's something that I didn't meet yet. I need to work on it. But my heart just like pouting with joy because I found something that I was looking for, but I didn't know what I was looking for.
Oh, okay. And so you're just going through the website. You didn't really know what. And once you saw that was it.
That's right. And I said, maybe God's telling me something because I felt so much joy, even though I didn't know what's before me. And the description is kind of, you have to be in the probation, a detention center and talking with you. And I had no experience with that before. But when I brought it back into prayer during the year of 2014-15, when I was still in formation, learning to be a sister and in novitiate, I was already have that desire to volunteer in the detention center for youth. I went through all the training and read all the thick folder of rules and regulations and everything. But it didn't work out at the end for me to volunteer because
back then
I didn't have time. I think the time that they request didn't fit with my schedule.
Okay.
So I didn't do it.
That wasn't the time.
Yeah,
but
at
now
the
is
time.
the time.
And then now is the time. I said, God mysterious way. So can it over beyond my imagination or thinking? So I've been thankful.
So where's this going to be?
It's the office of the Special Youth Services. It's the Chancery in Hong Kong. But my main ministry place is in Harris County Detention Center.
Okay.
Up in downtown Houston.
That's cool.
And also there's 4 more counties that I will visit from time to time in rotation. It's Galveston County, Fort Bend County, Gulf Coast County, and Brazorias County.
Okay. So we will see a lot of you then. You'll be around.
I'll be around traveling.
So is there any chance that you can come back and help with the kids like you did before? Is there any plan of that? Or you haven't spoken with Father Dad at all about it?
I'm not sure because the schedule is very different from the regular schedule that I used to have. So we start the day is later, but we end the days later too.
Okay. So it all depends. You have to get used to your schedule first. And
the visiting time is from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
They have to go to school.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And then after school, there's a time that I can come to visit them.
Okay, so it's a little different.
It's too different.
Okay, we'll see. Hopefully we'll see you around.
I hope so.
And congratulations again on your perpetual profession of vows.
You got it this time.
And we hope to catch up with you again soon. And we wish you the best of luck in your in your new position.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here.